I'm your host, Maria Teresa. I am a celestial shaman, a master of soul light frequencies. I am a mother, a sister, a daughter. I am a woman walking this journey of life in truth, guided by the power of love. And I'm very excited to share my journey. I believe I am here to help heal humanity one heart at a time through shamanic healing, through poetry, and through channeled light language. I would love to introduce my co host. He is a dear friend of mine, an intuitive healer, a coach, a guide. We are both galactic ambassadors, and his name is Mr. Christopher Mark. Hi.
Hey, how are you?
Well, hello, my dear listeners. Welcome to another episode of Maria Teresa's Emotional Musings podcast. We are in episode 10, believe it or not. We're just rolling right away with all of these deeply emotional chat about my life. And this one, by the time, just to be clear, by the time this episode airs, it might be late July, early August. But right now, it is June 29th. And I am getting ready to leave the container of Utah and head back to Florida tomorrow. So I am in a very emotional mood. And we are just doing some pre-recording because I am preparing for my vacation. I'm very excited about it. Um, this episode is going to center around two of the most important people in my entire life, my children, my two boys. And at this time, I'd like to say hello to my co-host. Hello, Marcus.
Hey, how are you? How are you feeling?
I am, I am up, down, right, left, center. I'm all over the place.
I got you.
Before we hopped on, I was telling you that, where I am here, where I'm renting space, I am about like a half a mile from a really beautiful park near a library. And I have taken to one of the trees in this park, and I like to go there and sit under her and just look up at her leaves and talk to her and sing and sit in the sun. And it's been, the weather has gotten kind of cool. It was like 60 degrees today. So it's clear skies. It's like a typical Utah day. Thank God it's not windy. I'm kind of over the wind here, but it was just really nice to kind of like sit in my spot that I've been going to for the last 4 months and say a proper goodbye. And that's what I did.
Wow.
So I am ready. I am ready to talk about, like I said, two of the most important people in my life. And unfortunately, I'm not talking to either one of them right now. So it's really hard.
Yeah, I know that this this episode is it's going to be real emotional. Um, but I also know that it's important, because people can hear your voice. They can hear your voice, and they can hear your emotions and feelings about a lot of things. So let's jump right into it. Um,
Okay, let's go. So this human journey is all about. It's about feeling,
that
following your feeling, moving through feeling.
I know, right?
I always say, like, that's how I've lived a lot of my life. I mean, especially in the awakening process.
Yeah.
I'm led by feelings, and that's your intuition,
Yeah.
going by my spidey senses.
So here's the first question.
Okay.
How did it feel for you when you found out that you were going to be a mother?
Oh my goodness. I was actually terrified.
Yeah.
I was such a combination of um of curiosity and sheer terror. Um, my first son was, my ex-husband and I used to joke around all the time that he was our honeymoon baby. Like I got pregnant very quickly. Um, we had, just to recap this, like he and I met Memorial Day weekend of 2000. I moved up to be with him in Rhode Island July 4th of 2000. We got married October 20th of 2000, and our first son was born August of 2001, August 5th. So he is coming up on his 25th birthday, which is just wild to me. I don't know how I'm going to have a 25-year-old. Um, and so I took the test because I immediately, like, I knew I was off. I mean, I was like a couple of weeks pregnant and I just knew that something was off with me. And I took the test while my ex was at work. And it was immediately positive. And I just waited for him to come home, and I was in the bathroom, and like I brought him in the bathroom, and I had like the test on the counter, and he just started crying. He was so excited. He was through the roof with excitement. And one of the first people I remember telling, besides, my mom and dad and my sisters, was his mom. And his mom was so excited for us. I mean, our son was the first grandson born. And so it was a really big deal. Um, and, from there, it just was, God, such an adventure. I wrote a lot in his baby book, um, like letters to him, and I would talk to him all the time. And it was, oh my gosh, it was such a journey being newly pregnant, like first child. I could feel because I'm such an aware person. I'm just super, super aware of my body, and I could literally feel my ligaments like ripping. And I was super tiny at the time too. I'm 5'2". I was probably like 100 pounds, um, give or take. And I was just super tiny. And I just immediately like gained a bunch of weight, which was very odd for me. And I was really sick with our first son. Like the first 3 months were really, really bad for me. Um, and then finally, like second trimester or third trimester was great. And I really eased into to being pregnant. And we had bought our first house. And so we moved into that house like a week or two before he was born. And I was doing everything. I was like, you know, getting on ladders and moving boxes and driving my ex-husband crazy because I just couldn't sit still. I wanted to like nest and get everything ready, I actually did that in our apartment. We had an apartment in Providence. And so I was nesting in the apartment, even knowing that like this is not where we were going to live. But we, just, I did. I had like baby things in our spare room. And, um, something I also remember that was really sweet was both of our cats. Um, I had a cat, his name was Butter, and he had a cat, and her name was Sky. And Butter and Sky would literally like lay around my belly and lay over my belly and purr. And I have one of the sweetest pictures of our son laying on the big dog bed in the kitchen of our first house, like with the sun from the sliding door coming in and shining on him with the cat, with Butter. And he's just hugging Butter. Like it's one of the sweetest pictures I have. And they were really close. That was something that I'm really glad I got to share with both of my kids is a love for animals. They loved our dogs and our cats. They loved them.
What would you say um, was a memorable moment that you shared
With my
with your
first
first
son,
one? Yeah, the first one.
okay, because like I was just thinking like, it's a very different experience with my second. Um, so just strictly talking about my first, my goodness, there's so many because I was a new mom. I was 23 years old. I was just a baby myself, and I had no friends in Rhode Island, and so he was like my my best friend. We did everything together. Um, Finger painting. I would put him in his high chair and he would finger paint and just reading him stories, going to the library. I used to do all the voices with all like the storybooks that I would read him. I read him like all the stories that I used to read when I was a child because I love to read. And I remember once like he was still a little itty bitty and I was reading him uh a story and I was doing the voices. It was a book. It was the Little Mr. and Mrs. books, if anybody like of my time era can remember the Little Miss and Little Mr. books. And I guess I did like too loud of a booming voice and like I upset him and he started crying. And I remember being like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. And you got like he knew he was like, oh wait, mommy's yelling. Why is she yelling? Um, but yeah, just like all of the new discoveries, just everything that he did was so amazing to me and totally new and so exciting. Um, just him in the swing, like my goodness, we had two swings. We had a swing in our bedroom and a swing in the lower level of the house because he loved to be in a swing. He had colic and reflux, and so he did a lot of crying and a lot of throwing up. So keeping him in the swing was helpful. It was just yeah, just like just being on the floor with him. I remember that a lot. Just always talking to him as he was like discovering the world around him. And I was there for every single part of it. And I took a gazillion pictures that he now has. So I love that. I love that that he holds all of those memories now.
With the relationship that, you know, y'all had during that period, um, what what did it do for you?
Oh my goodness. Becoming a mom completely changed my life. It just completely changed my life. He was my sun, my moon, my stars, like every single second of the day was focused because I was a stay-at-home mom. And my ex-husband worked a lot. And so we just spent every second together. The only people who babysat for me at that time were my in-laws and my sister-in-law. She was super, super helpful. My sister-in-law was an amazing support for me. And she had a little girl. And so we used to get together a lot and do things with the kids. And it was, it was just, it's just the newness of everything, and I was in a new area too. So, I used to love to put him in the stroller and like walk him everywhere. And we had a really great little neighborhood and we were right down the street from a beach. And so I used to walk him to the beach a lot and just all seasons and talk to the swans that were down on the ocean, which is really cool to see. Um, I was just constantly talking to him. And I've always thought of my oldest that way. He's like my little apprentice. He is a sponge to me. Um, he just always needed my attention. Like some children are really good to just kind of sit and play and like occupy themselves. He just really needed interaction all the time. And I think a lot of that was because we just spent so much time together and we were super, super close. He had a really hard time separating from me. And that's what I remember about our relationship and just what it was like to be a new mom. You know, I mean, taking a shower was like a big deal. I used to bring him like in his little seat and sit him on the other side of the shower curtain and pop my head out every few seconds because, they need to be with you all the time. And that was very different, like your time isn't your own anymore. Um, and me having to learn that, to learn like when my ex would come home, he was really, really great about like taking things over and helping and changing diapers and feeding and reading stories and playing and just doing a lot of things, which was great because then I could like just have a second for myself or um I learned to put him down. I'm glad that people told me to do that, to like put him down and like when he sleeps, you sleep. And it's very important to do that. But I documented everything with my first child. Like I literally wrote down because I breastfed for like 6 weeks and or maybe a month, maybe not 6 weeks, maybe a month. But I wrote down like every little thing I did. I mean, the beginning of his life was like so documented because I felt such a responsibility to just make sure I was doing everything right. Like I just wanted to be perfect, which totally speaks into just the way I am as a human being in general. But as a mom, you just, you have this beautiful baby that you don't want to do anything wrong. And let me tell you, I made a lot of mistakes and a lot of things happened. That's just how he was. I mean, I always say like he broke me in and made me a parent. He made me who I am. He's my greatest teacher. Um, he was just a super active little a baby and then a toddler and a little one and he was just always on the go and yeah, lots of activity and action all the time. He was very busy.
What would you say? What would you say was the thing that you guys had in common?
Oh, our sensitivity.
Okay.
From the second I took him home from the hospital. I remember I was changing his diaper and I was he was on in like the changing table. We had like one of those package like changing tables in the living room because we spent most of the time like in the lower main floor of the house and the bedrooms were upstairs. And I was changing his diaper and I was looking at him and he had his eyes open, just staring at me. We used to always say that we slept like deer because his eyes, he had the biggest eyes and he was just always like staring at everything and taking everything in with like an intensity, which is the same way I am. So I noticed that first and like arms and his legs were moving and he was just like moving around and I could just sense at that point, I was like, this kid is exactly like me. Just taking everything in. He wants to always move. I mean, he was standing up against furniture like at a really young age, like way before 6 months. Um, he was walking along furniture at 9 months. I mean, he just was like, okay, let me like learn everything and get it down and go on to the next. Oh, and just like very independent. So there's the sensitivity, there's the independence. Um, and he has such a kind heart. He is like one of the most, oh, I'm gonna get really emotional. He is like one of the most gentle people that I've ever been around in my life. Very gentle, very caring, takes everything in. Uh, just such a sweet soul. He's such a sweet soul. And those are the things that we have in common for sure.
If you could, what advice would you give him now?
So always follow your heart. Just always follow your heart. He's a very intuitive young man. Both of my children are. My oldest is um, more empathic. He's highly intuitive, very, very sensitive, and just knows things. He has like a great and a deep knowing. Whereas my youngest is like me. He's a channel. He's not an open channel, but he's a channel. And so there's a lot of intuitiveness that comes along with that. Um, but yeah, he's got just such a big heart. And I think that sometimes it's scary when you feel so much, but your feeling is your greatest sense of knowing. And so just to allow your heart to open and follow that. Yeah. And like don't doubt yourself. Because I think a lot of times when you are so sensitive and you know things and then you don't follow those things, it's like that self-betrayal is a hard one. So yeah, and him and I have had conversations about that just as he's become an adult. It's like just follow your knowing. Don't listen to everybody else. You know, sometimes you have to do that. You got to break away from the pack.
What is it that you would want to tell him that you didn't get a chance to tell him?
Oh my goodness, Marcus. That I wish I could have come with me. That I wish I didn't have to leave. That I did everything I could to protect him and his brother. Um, and I'm sorry for the times that I wasn't available because I just, everything I do now is to leave a legacy for them and for them to be who they are. And it it really kills me. A lot of the things that I missed out on at the time that I wasn't there. The time that, where he struggled without me. I'm sorry. I think I want to interject here too, because just because you and I have talked so much about this, I have really done an over and above job. My main intention was to not take things out on my children the way that unfortunately my upbringing was, because my mother is very unhealed and had a lot of her own trauma that she never faced. And so I didn't cry around my children, which in it that was given them the idea that feelings are not okay. Um, and that is not the message that I intended to send. Um, I just know how it was for me. My mother would, like, she treated us more like friends and overburdened us with her emotions and her experiences, and I just never wanted to do that to my boys. And so um I really showed them more of my strength and not enough of my softness and my vulnerability. And I'm sorry for that, because your feelings are everything and they matter, but it's important. And if I could do things differently, um, I would have, in terms of that.
Yeah, I think I remember when we first got here, well, you first got there to Utah, and we were just talking about everything, and it was more about embracing like your sensitivity and being open, and how that it didn't really allow for them to, you know, they knew how to survive, they knew how to be strong, like you instilled that. Um, but it was also the parts of, hey, like, what do I do when I can't hold it up anymore? Um, and so the reason why we're doing this now is really just because um it's good that you're letting them know that it's okay. Um, yeah, because it's not easy. It's not easy being able to share your feelings and be open, and be vulnerable. You know,
Yes.
this is the only way to really allow for them to hear you. Um, yeah.
Well, it always used to, I used to always observe, like, my oldest, I said he had colic and reflux and he did a lot of screaming and crying. And then he didn't cry at all. Then there was like no tears. And I really never saw emotion from him, to the point where it was almost like concerning. Like, I remember once he took a baseball to the chest and like did cry. And both my ex and I were like, oh, that's not normal. And whereas my younger one is so emotional, like very emotional. And unfortunately, I left his life when he was like 6, 7, when the divorce was final. So, he did not have enough time with me. And I really don't know how that affected his emotional state. And that bothers me, because he's a deeply, deeply emotional person. And that's what I remember. I remember him being more like apt to tears than my older one. And I want to talk, I want to like give them both equal time to talk about them. My second was totally planned, and my sunshine. And he goes that. I hope he goes that. I hope he remembers that. We haven't talked in 10 years at this point, um, which is incredibly hard to carry that every day, but I also understand. And yeah, he's my sunshine. I used to say that to him all the time. He was my sunshine. I used to sing that to him in his crib. Um, I always said if I had my second first, I would have had 4 children by now. Because he was just such a different baby. And the way that he would play with his toys, like looking back on it now, like I know he was channeling. I know that he was talking to spirit. Um, just in a different way that I noticed my first. Like they're both very, very different. And I noticed that and I very much did everything I could to honor that and to hone that, their personalities and who they are as people. Um, I used to call him my snuggle buddy all the time because he was such a snuggler and would just say the most like, this was years into the divorce and we would have conversations. Like what I remember from my relationship with my youngest son is that he would say things to me that were so deeply profound that I was just like, whoa, you are, you're deep. Like that's, I was like so impressed and just amazed in a lot of ways. And it just, you know, we, the last time we saw each other, the last time I hugged him when he was 11 years old, and he's 21 now. So that's really hard, and it's hard for both of us. It's this is not about me. This is about him, and I know that he feels abandoned. I know that he has felt hatred towards me. A lot of really hard feelings to sit with because there was nobody to work these feelings through with because I know that his dad wasn't capable of doing that. And I know that he believes me. And I just pray that one day I can repair that wound and that we can move through that and heal that and have a relationship again. Because there's nothing more in this world that I want is to have a relationship with both of my children. And so I just wanted to say that right there.
Yeah, this is I know that whenever you were telling me about both of that, and then how you would feel, it's like you, and this is something that they probably don't know. It's like when you're an open channel, when you're on a spiritual journey, it looks crazy, and nothing makes any sense, and you're trying your best, but you're also working through things that you don't know what's going on. You don't know why it's happening. You just know it's happening. And, I wanted to say that, like, this is why I always remind you of, you always say to me, I don't feel like a mother. And I'm like, no, because there were people out here in this world, who, are just way worse and would have dealt with this in a way that, even with you dealing with this the way that you did it, it wasn't the perfect way, but it was the best you knew how to do. And like you said, this is not about you per se. This is more about them understanding why. I can only speak on my behalf, but I can say that, life is short. How you feel, I'm just speaking to them. How you feel is important that you find a way to move past it as soon as possible, because you just don't have a lot of time. And forgiveness is about letting go. It's about letting go. And even if you don't understand, even if you don't accept, it's okay. It's important that you let go and create something new. Not from what was, but for what is now.
Well, that's where I would like to focus. This is why I chose my healing path and didn't do what I intended to do, which was to take me out of the picture completely, out of this world. I chose healing. I chose my becoming. I chose my ascension for them. And I've always said to my oldest, at least, that you can tell me anything. We can talk about anything and everything. And I know he knows that, but I want my youngest to know that I'm here for whatever you want to talk about and share and to move through, because that's what that's my role. You know, that's what I'm here for now. I'm here as a guide. I'm here as somebody that will always understand because I've been through everything. And my love is unconditional. I mean, I've said that a lot to my oldest. I may not like everything you do, but I will always love you. And I will always support you no matter what you're doing. Even if I don't like it, I'll tell you I don't like it, but I will always support you because it's your journey. But I want to be a part of it. And I think it's important that we find um, we find solid ground. We find uh, a safe space within each other um, to move through all of this, because I know it's been hard. I know it's been heavy, and I know there's been a lot of misunderstanding. Um, and it's not okay, but we have to move into a place of acceptance, all of us. Um, and that is why I have done everything that I have done in maybe an abstract way, in a way that, yeah, I was being pulled in really directions and doing a lot of different things and really just focusing um, on figuring out who I was, because it's been incredibly hard to know that. Um, being on this spiritual journey as I've been all these years. Um, and so I would love nothing more than the opportunity to do that, to reunite, to just what just keeps coming to me is like everything I do for you. And like if I just want them to feel it to that. I want both of them to feel it to that phrase, because I would literally move mountains. I am always here. Um,
Mm-hmm.
to 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 be of a support. Um, for me, like here's the big difference for me. And I do forgive both of my parents for this. My dad was very unemotional. He was very closed off when he was here as a human. He is the complete opposite now in spirit. And he's very supportive and he listens all the time and he gives me great advice and he's very available. My mom, unfortunately, really just struggled in a lot of her own demons, literally. And I always felt like I mean, this is just the raw truth. I never felt like I could go to my parents for anything and it would be better. It usually made things worse. Um, it just always did. It just wasn't. They were not the people that I went to with my issues, and how I actually learned how to be strong, because I really didn't have that emotional support um, at all. I had a lot of physical support, but I didn't have emotional support or spiritual support or like feeling like I could really talk to them about anything. Um, they just weren't available for that. And I want my boys to know that that is the opposite with me. I am very available for all of that because I have moved through everything and I want to be that person for them because I know how important it is because I've lived my whole life without it. when my dad passed, a lot of people said to me, people say the obligatory, like, I'm so sorry. And I'm like, I'm not, because my dad is now the person or the spirit, the soul that I needed as my whole growing up. I get him now. And it just makes perfect sense to me because, he passed 2 months after I was anointed. So I was already like, working in this way. And, he actually passed I had a session with a new client, and I told my new client, hey, can we just like, give me like an hour to kind of collect myself? Because my dad wants to be a part of the session. And so like that's how it's like, it's just so different. It's just so different for me at this stage. And I've had a lot of like off and on, with my mother because of her challenges. And I think that really what my intentions in speaking about this is for them to just, for me to say like, it's okay. It's okay. Like however you feel and whatever's happened, like, let's just talk about it and move through it because I get it.
Yeah, I think that I mean this whole you being in Utah thing was really for them.
Well, and it was just very disruptive for my oldest.
Mm-hmm.
He started pulling away. Right. I mean, I deep down, like, because we're so connected, obviously, and I know, and I know when I was struggling in that house in Connecticut, that he could feel all of that. And he didn't know what to do about it. And so, like, what he does is he just pulled away and he cuts himself off for me, which in turn is almost, it's like detrimental for him because I really am the best person to guide him through all of these things. But I also understand that he has to have his own journey. And so when he stopped talking to me, like as devastating as it was, I also understand. And we've been through this before when he gets overwhelmed and he just pulls away. And like, I'm so grateful to his fiance for understanding and for holding space for him and for being there with support because that's what the two of them need to do in order to have a marriage. And so I'm very blessed that we have a good connection. And she stepped in at that point. But it was excruciating not being able to say goodbye to him and then leaving again. Like it's the leaving all over again, because I never intended to do that. But that's just what this journey calls for. A lot of times I don't really know what's going to happen. I just know like step one. I don't necessarily know step 1, 2, 3, and 4. Um, right now I do. Right now I have a much clearer vision for what's going on. Um, and I'd love to share that with him, but it has to be in his own time. So, yeah, this container was and is for them, for me to eradicate everything within me that has kind of energetically kept them distant from me. And you were the one to explain that to me because I've done so much of my own healing. I mean, you guys, I have been in some way, shape, or form, some kind of healing therapy, what have you, since I was 7 years old. It was a lot more like mainstream 3D world. And then around like 2016, it started to all become very holistic. So for the last 10 years, I have been on a much just concentrated, holistic journey with like herbs and supplements and different, the food that I eat and then just energy and healing and light language and sound and just, yoga, just so many more things that have really helped to ground me and for me to accept my wholeness. But I really didn't realize how fragmented I still was until I came into this isolation. And you and I have moved through, all of this subconscious healing. So,
Yeah.
um,
I
yeah, I
mean,
want, I want you to like have your input there for like, because that's a big statement, and
well,
I want for them to understand that, like, this container was as much for me, for them.
Yeah. Cause and I'm just going to break this down. It's like
Yeah.
you pretty much your whole life in some way, shape or form, you were trying to find emotional stability, and create
Yes.
it in your life. And you had to work through, you know, things from a psychological perspective and then from that to a spiritual perspective.
And not
And
knowing my own autism, like, was a huge part of it too. A huge part
yeah,
of it, because I was constantly shrinking, masking, copying, pretending, stifling, all of those things on repeat, on repeat.
yeah. So you're working through all of that. Um, the thing about, and I can like literally say this just because of how my mom raised us, is like, sometimes you don't have it. So sometimes you have to find it, then you can give it, right? Or sometimes it's given to you through other people. And the thing about what you did, you understood that your children were emotionally and energetically connected to you. And so everything you were going through, everything you were sending yourself through, you knew that it's like, okay, so they're feeling this whole process. Um, while you were trying to work through it without it being redirected back to them. And you understood how sensitive they both were. And so when, when you went to Connecticut, that was the first step. But then when you got to Utah, it's like, this, I can just tell you guys, like, you want to talk about intense? It's intense. As intense as it gets, because you're working through years of trauma. And then on top of that, you're working through how to adapt that back into your conscious state of actually just living. And then to add to that, working through delayed and dormant feelings that really haven't had the chance to surface because there was no space for it to be able to surface, and there was no place for it to be a safe space for it to reside. And so, all of the things that you've done just being here in Utah, it's like you've sacrificed so much.
Yeah.
And
Well, I mean, I put my entire life on hold for 8 months.
Are you going through a spiritual awakening or already a seasoned veteran in your spiritual journey? Do you feel like you have gifts and you're just not sure of how to use them or adjust to having them in this world? I am here to help you on your path to enlightenment. I offer spiritual coaching and shamanic guidance. I am Maria Teresa. I am a celestial shaman and master of soul light frequencies. I would love to guide you to your soul. Enlighten in shadow, always with love. Namaste.
Like, I mean, let's just be for real. Like,
yeah,
yes, I have in between and the in between of all of this, because, like, to be clear, in the in between of all of this, I held a job for a couple of months, like a job, like I was hired by a company. And then I was just dove headfirst into building the brand of emotional musings and, my blog, which has been my blood, sweat, and tears for 8 years. My books, honing all those manuscripts, continuing to promote, doing the events. Like, I have been non fucking stop. And to be clear, I want the boys to also understand this. As a soul leader, I am a leader in our soul tribe. So it is my duty to break this trauma. And so again, like, that's not a choice. I didn't come in and go like, yeah, I want to do this. No, this is what I had to go through in order to heal all of this for our entire soul family.
Yeah. I mean,
So it's been, I mean, all of that together, the healing, the energetic work, you and I on the phone all the time, working through all this together and processing and crying and, you know, all the pain that I've had to sit in. And like, that's what I sat in today. And I mean, when we first popped on this recording, you know, Marcus always says to me, like, this is one of the things I love about him too. Like, you always be like, how are you? And he really wants to know how I'm feeling. I mean, that's a rare thing these days. You know, a lot of times it's like, hey, how are you? And really the other person doesn't really care how you're feeling. Um, you always want to know like how I'm really feeling. Like, where are you right now? And it's beautiful. It's beautiful what we have developed. And I just started crying and I said, I am so fucking proud of myself. I am so proud of myself for everything that I have faced and everything that I have done and how much I have changed my life. And I just zeroed in on everything that needed to be met, sat with, dealt with, processed, moved through, accepted, forgiven, let go of. Um, and yeah, I mean, I put my life on hold for 8 months. Like, I don't know many other people that are out here doing this.
yeah. And this was all an effort to.
And it's been really fucking hard. just,
What?
just to be clear, it's been really, really hard.
Listen, let me tell you guys. I'm gonna tell you something.
Not fun, okay? Not fun.
There was this period.
I make everything fun. Like I have a really good way of like,
but
you
this
know,
wasn't
bringing humor to a lot of things. But let me tell you, dude, this whole thing was fucking. This was ass. This was not fun.
I'm going to tell you guys a story. This is a moment in this saga that we've experienced.
Well, I call it an odyssey because that's what it is.
Okay.
It's an odyssey.
I'm going to do odyssey. Okay. I'm going to do odyssey.
We're in an odyssey here.
So, and I want you guys to understand how important, how intense this was. So there was a period where, you know, I knew that for Maria, like, she's so forgiving, so like understanding, so like, I just want to make sure everyone's happy. And I'm like, okay, but a lot has happened to you. And a lot of unfairness has happened to you just through your giving, through your love, through your kindness, through your understanding. And I know you're angry. And I'm like, okay, you're going to have to let out your anger. So we tried in the beginning. It didn't come out. She was like, I'm naturally not an angry person. So I was like, okay. So I had to start doing things little by little to allow it to come out. Now, when it finally came out, guys, I'm going to tell you right now, I wanted to run. Now, keep in mind, she's in another state. Right? She's in another state. And I was just like, oh, snap. It's like, okay, this is real. And there was this one period where I was like, you know, she had texted me and she was like, I hate you. And I was thinking to myself, you don't hate me. Like, you're mad at such and such. You're not mad at me. And she was like, no,
Yeah.
it's you.
It's you, man. It's actually you who I hate. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, to be for real, like, you know, to really just let people know this, like anger was not something that was allowed in our home.
Mm-hmm.
Anger was very much, you know, that was reserved for my parents. Like they were allowed to get angry. We were not allowed to get angry. I never felt like anger was accepted. And so I very much learned to that feeling of with anger always was taken out on myself, which was how I developed an eating disorder, how I developed an addiction. I took all of that out on myself. And so when Marcus suggested, you know, he knew because this is the beautiful guy that you are. You're like, this has got to come out. And so there was like a lot of conversations about like, hey, this anger you're feeling right now is for this person and for that experience. But like what you're talking about was like this specific story. I was like, no, man, I fucking hate you. Like I absolutely hate you. And you like ruined my life. And I just like, I let it all out. It just was a barrage of
Yeah.
rage.
Yeah, man, she called me. She was just like, listen, lose my phone number. Don't call me ever again. Da, 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 da. And I'm like, okay, I hear you. But okay, I'm like, okay, this is happening. I'm like, I felt good. I felt good when she called me and told me that. I was just like, it's finally coming out. And the reason
Oh,
why
you said you were proud of me. You told me later, you're like, I'm so proud of
I
you.
was so proud of you. I was so proud of you. I was just like, oh my God,
Yeah.
you hate me? I'm like, yes, we are doing it. I know. And she always says it. She's like, you're sick. But
Well,
here,
because like, here's the thing, guys. Like, we both, the healers that we are, we know how to hold space. Like, that we just know how to like hold that space. And it's not a personal thing. Like, we knew that this was all energy.
mm-hmm.
You know, like, yes, I was directing it at Marcus, but like, I wasn't, I don't really, you know, I'm just trying to like, um, to break this down for people
Mm-hmm.
because it's a lot to kind of take in. Like, we have to kind of put ourselves way in the back when you're allowing somebody to move through like years of an emotion, like deep, deep, deep. I mean, this was like
Yeah.
deep stuff.
Yeah. Because you're working through, like, I can just say this to you, and I'm really directing this back to your sons. Like,
Mm-hmm.
your mother was angry for years. And everything that she put herself through was that anger. And she, and
Oh
then
wow, yeah. I took it out on myself. Yeah.
took it out on herself. But it never came out because it was like, okay, well, I deserve this. But the thing about it is that, you
Well,
know,
I did feel like I deserved it. I felt like I deserved it because I left my ex-husband and my children who were the loves of my life. And so I deserved all that pain.
you, and this is, you know, again, you know, if you were talking to anyone normal, they probably would say, yeah, sure. Me, I'm, no. And I'm going to say this, I'm going to break it down very clearly. When you come from a family that you don't get the emotional support that you need, and then to add to that, you enter a relationship where you are the emotional foundation, and how you do it, who knows? Because you still don't have that emotional support. So you're giving from the least amount that you already have to support an entire family. Then to add to that, you throw in going on a spiritual journey because now you're hearing spirits, you're connecting to different energies, you're open channel. And now on top of that, you're still working through all of the emotional things that you don't have at all anyway. And then on top of that, the reality of actually leaving your family. So now you have to work through the process of that. But now you're not good at actually explaining all your feelings. Like, you can write it down, you can do all these other things, but no one really can really know. So now you have to pour yourself into addiction. And now you get to a place where you're like, okay, this is not working anymore. I now have to find someone that can actually help me spiritually. So now you're awakened to the reality of everything that has been going on for years. And so the anger comes from the time that it took to get to this moment right now to tell you how much she loves you, how much she cares about you, how much she misses you, how hard it's been, the sacrifice, the time that has been wasted and gone, but also how much she would do it all over again if it meant that you both turned out how you are now.
Wow. Thank you for taking everything that I told you in the year and a half that I've known you and putting it into such articulation and eloquence because that's exactly right. Um, you know, I've had a very, very hard life, very fucking hard life. And I never wanted the boys to know any of that. And when I started to crack, really crack in 2011, I just, my intention was to just go away and to deal with everything that I was experiencing so I didn't hurt them. But I didn't realize that it was going to hurt them anyway. And being separated from them has fucking killed me. And it just hurt so bad that I just wanted to hurt myself more. But realizing that that was very detrimental to my gifts and against what my purpose here is. And I had to learn how to heal myself. And so here we are 15 years later.
Mm-hmm. And this is why we went through all of this, because this was a period of not only forgiving, of releasing, of allowing light back into who you are. There was so much work that went into this. So much work. And
Yeah. The shedding and the shredding.
oh my
Because
God.
I am very comfortable and like, yes, I'm a very bright, sunny person. I have a lot of light within me that I have
Mm-hmm.
cultivated and shared. But there was also a lot of darkness and a lot of shadow, and we have eradicated all of that. So now I literally emanate pure light. And I know that the both of you don't really, you feel the difference, but you're really curious and you're just like, mom feels different. What's going on? And I know that you both can hear me too when I talk because like I think I get very confused with what I actually have said because Marcus and I talk so much. So I'm not sure if I have shared this, but a couple of weeks ago, I was in the pool doing my laps and both of you showed up in the pool with me. And it was the most glorious gift because I haven't felt your spirits around me in a long time. And it was amazing because I have all those memories of swimming with both of you, of teaching you both to swim and taking you swimming. And it was just so great to be in the pool with you in spirit.
I will say this to both of you if you're listening. And please hear me when I say this. However you're feeling, work through it fast. Because you just never know. And you only get one mom. You just only get one. And you know, the way that she loves you guys, I'm telling you. That's why when Mother's Day came up, I wrote her a whole letter and like sent her songs and stuff, and it was still hard for her.
Every Mother's Day is.
And
My favorite Mother's Day, and I'm just going to share this because this is, I hope that they both remember this, but I used to always take them to Roger Williams Park in Providence. We would get swan boats and we would go out in the swan boats. And that's one of my favorite memories. I have great pictures of the three of us doing that. Um, but yeah, I've spent many a Mother's Day alone, many a Mother's Day alone, which has been just really, really hard. But like, I know that in turn, they have spent birthdays without me. They've spent Christmases and holidays and important events in their life without their mom. And so I want you to know that I know that. And I really, really want this to end. I think we've been through enough pain. And so I want to just kind of transition to these poems that I want to share. Both of these poems, they actually are featured in my 8th book of poetry, My Soul's Love, a book of spells. This is the first poem in that book, and it's directed towards my oldest son. It was for his birthday. I wrote this 4 years ago when he turned 21. This is called A Mother's Love. 21 years ago, I started to learn watching you grow was like watching my own heart exist outside my body. bright smiles sprinkled with curious laughter, walking in nature, running and chasing after. When you cried, my whole world became dim, teaching you how to navigate life and to swim. You made me a mother, the most amazing honor, changing my world forever. You, my son, have taught me how precious unconditional love is. The pride I feel today outshines everything. You are kind, thoughtful, and a caring young man. It blows me away to see how tall you stand. The depth of love that I have for you, eternally bonded in this mother's heart, forever true. And, you know, um, he's a lot taller than I am. So that's something that, I always get a kick out of. And he has the stature of his father, and my younger one has the stature of me. And even though we've been apart, I want you to know that I've been watching you and I've kept tabs on you and I watch everything you put up. And you're a lot like me. And I see a lot of your qualities and your smile. And there's so many things about you that I recognize and make me smile. Um, and this next poem is about my youngest son, is the last poem in the book, and it's called Separation Anxiety. And I wrote this when you were 18, when you were getting ready to graduate high school, because it was June of 2023. The sacrifices one makes at times can bear such weight. Getting up again after each setback is exhausting. To shield others from the pain that it's causing, my mother's heart breaks a little more every day. For as long as you've been away, holding hope in the hands of trust and faith, yet inside I'm screaming for relief from self-imposed regret. Estrangement is a cruel and unrelenting master. Forgiveness for feelings that caused life-altering disaster. Trajectory of our souls is set to exceed, never to extinguish my dream. Holding you close in my arms, taking in your sweet scent. For now, every day, I pray and repent, sending all of my love in rhymes is my lament. Peaceful sleep while my heart awaits its restful content. Because it has been incredibly hard to, there's been a good amount of time, I'd say like 2016, 2017, half of 2018, where I was not functioning well. And it was hard for me to get out of bed. I was battling a lot of depression at that time and really not functioning well at all. Um, from the lack of separation from my children. And I can only imagine what they were going through because I don't really know because we've not talked about it. But I'm sure that they were going through their own hell being away from their mother.
Oh man, that was a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think before we finish, is there any last thing you want to say to both of them?
I love you. I love you. I love you. I will always love you. And I'm here and I'm waiting. I'm waiting for us to be able to heal and to come together and to unite because I want to have fun with the both of you. And that's what we all deserve. I like, one of my dreams, and I've shared this with you, Marcus, is to take us all like to the beach, like take us all on a vacation and just make memories, make new memories. But the beach was always like our happy place. Like that's what we did when you guys were little. Um, and just like have meals and talk and get to know you both, like where you are in life, equally. And I know like my oldest is getting ready to get married and he knows like how much I want to be a part of that. How excited, I was the first person he told that he was gonna ask her to marry him. And I want to be a part of that. And I want to know what's going on with my youngest because I know that you have been in the Navy now for 3 years and that you want to go to the Naval Academy. And I know everything that's going on with you. And I want to be a part of that. And so this is my plea. Please open your hearts and forgive me and allow me to have a space in your life because you've always had a space in mine.
You want to do some light language?
I do. I would love to. Ah. Oh, yeah. Riasa, riasho kriasa, kriasho kuria kakakashiteria. Yaria mo kriaka to bechiata. Yaria shemeria so kreta kakishe damia to kashe pataria. Yaria so kria kasetia. Oria sateria, tameria, corre shite. Yare ore. Are ore, que sheria sari, yare ayona, sheria sokria cantore, yetaria samani ayoha, que sheria se moria, queria seria ya meoha, queria sari. Rechaste cache de marco, velas a cave, a shetas de mio. Se vegas a cache, repacata, jajastometa. Me sea o sea mio. Te reasa que shata, yamatatia, tu orteta se catashitea. Kashatea Tatania, Tarias Amitea Tonea Mata, Namiato Friti Te E Pantatia Conta. Yaste Vina, Yaste Oe, Yaste O. That was beautiful. Before we close, my dad just reminded me to share with the audience and especially the boys that last night, Marcus and I were having a conversation, and I began to feel into a very deep wound for the collective. And I was guided into healing the womb of the divine feminine through my own body and through light language. And this was to release, to honor, to heal, to acknowledge, to forgive everything that has happened to women, everything, all the trauma that we experience through abuse, through neglect, through betrayal, through some of the hard choices that we had to make as mothers, through the system that we live within that is so broken and has been so detrimental and so unkind to women. We women create life here on earth, but we have been put down, persecuted, stepped over, ignored, forgotten. No more. No more of that. The feminine power must rise in equality with the divine masculine. And that is how we are healing the earth. We are leaving a patriarchal society and we are moving into the unity and the oneness where divine masculine and divine feminine stand in unison together, acknowledge and love. And that is what I did last night. And let me tell you, y'all, it was fucking painful. There was a lot of, and I'm trying to be like quiet because I'm not in my own space, but there was a lot of grunting and there was a lot of, I mean, the light language itself. God, if we could have recorded that,
It was intense.
Wow.
It was,
It was very intense what was going on through my body. I started feeling all kinds of, I've been carrying an amazing amount of lower back pain. Um, and that stems from the root chakra,
yeah,
the security, the sense of safety. You know, our root is our beginning. It's how we ground into the earth.
it's so funny
And
because I
yeah.
felt you channeling Lilith at that time at a certain point. I
Hmm.
was,
Oh, 100%. Yeah. Well, I mean, you
yeah,
and I know that like that's who I've been carrying.
yeah,
That's who I've been carrying. So I have I mean, I've been carrying Lilith, but I've also had a lot of interactions with Lucifer. So yeah, I'm able to tap into to all of that, the sacred darkness of the divine feminine, because both of them, the light and the dark, are equally important. And I have been able to dance within all of it. And so feeling into this wound for the collective of every female on this planet, past, future, present, everything we have been through in all timelines is now healed.
yeah. And that's really what we're just leaving behind, so that we can move forward with light. So, yeah. You want to close
I
it?
think that's all I'd like to say about everything in this segment here. So thank you all for listening. If this resonates with you, please like, share, comment. You know, my contact information is always available, and I would love to hear. You can email me and ask me what else you'd like for me to talk about. You know, um, this is me sharing my journey as a companion for what I have been sharing for the past 8 years. I believe that everything I have been through is something that other people can recognize and resonate with. And we are all in this together, my friends. So in light and in shadow, always with love. Namaste.
Peace, guys.